Hey, good morning to you. Good morning. Terry Hansen here, back with you once again on Traveling with Terry. Every morning I leave my home, head to the office, and I get a few minutes to spend with you, some of my favorite people in the world, to talk business, to chat a little bit about strategies to take your life and your business to the next level. This morning I had an interesting experience. So over the weekend I had an interesting experience that I wanted to share with you. Helped me realize why I think you and I are much better, more capable than we give ourselves credit for. So let's do some chatting about that. So I'll tell you a quick story to kind of set the stage for our conversation this morning on the way into work. Let's see what this is. About 13 years ago, my wife and I bought a 1960s home in a small community outside of Idaho Falls. And we've lived there for the last 13 years, and it's an old rickety house that we bought it in foreclosure, or bought it out of foreclosure, and it was kind of a wreck. It was kind of abandoned. Windows were broken, pipes were frozen, animals were living in it. It was kind of a disaster, and we full on did the old fixer-upper maneuvers on it and spent a ton of money fixing it up. And today it's a nice, cozy, comfy home where we are raising our children and having a great time. But one of the fixtures in our home that we did not replace was the water heater. And this good old water heater, when we bought it, we had it inspected, and the inspector said, 2 thumbs up, still looks like it's in great shape. And we shrugged our shoulders and said, okay, sounds good. So 13 years later, it starts kind of conking out on us and not doing very well at all. So we've over the last several days, we've had a hard time keeping the pilot light running. I've had to baby it along, and I just thought we had some really high winds, and so I thought, well, maybe it's getting blown out through the venting system. And nope, after the wind died down, it was still going out. And so I called the HVAC company. They came out and they said, well, we think your thermocouple is bad, so they replaced that. Fingers crossed that we were able to squeeze some more life out of this thing, and nope, it didn't make an ounce of difference. And they said, wow, this thing really is old, and it really does need to be replaced. And I would imagine this thing's probably 15 to maybe 20 years old. We've really gotten a lot of life out of our hot water heater, and I really was not looking forward to doing it. So anyway, the HVAC company quoted us a price. They said $2,000 for the standard model or $5,000 for the ultra premium exotic model. And I thought, goodness gracious, for a water heater. So I called up Lowe's and I said, how much for a 50-gallon gas water heater that's a good one? And anyway, so they said, oh, it's about $600. And I thought, $600 versus $2,000. Can I install a hot water heater by myself? I'm not technical. First off, I am kind of a geeky business guy, entrepreneur, marketer, salesperson, and that's kind of where my strength is, but I'm not handy by any stretch of the imagination. And I thought, I am not going to spend $2,000 when I can pay $600 and maybe cobble it together, figure out how to do it. But I was so overwhelmed and so nervous as I went down into our utility room and was looking at all the 1960s piping and electrical and the gas lines and all of this sort of thing. I was totally overwhelmed, and I thought, holy crap, how am I gonna do this? So I jumped on YouTube and I started watching a couple of videos. I watched 2 or 3 different videos on how to install a gas water heater, and thank goodness for YouTube. Man, it takes dumb people and turns them into relatively smart people. So I watched these YouTube videos, and step by step I went through and I jotted down every single part that I thought I was going to need, right, to install this new hot water heater. Every single part, because what a pain it is to go to the hardware store, buy everything, get back, be right in the middle of it, and find out you have the wrong things, and you have to go back 400 times to get all the right things. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I made sure to write down every single part that I needed, every question that I had, and I wrote those down. I also, on the back of the paper, wrote down all the steps that I needed to follow. So I felt relatively comfortable that from a big picture, I knew how, kind of what to do and how to do it. But I was still overwhelmed. I'm like, this is a massive project. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a plumber. I've never worked with gas. So I reached out to my dad and I said, Dad, I've got this thing. Would you mind helping me? He said, sure. I reached out to my neighbor that I knew had some expertise with natural gas, and I said, hey, if I get stuck, can you help me? And he said, sure, love to. So I had some backup. I knew I had some people there guiding me and supporting me. So in the morning on Saturday morning, I tore into it. I started draining the lines and disconnecting the hoses and undoing the flue, the venting system there, and started going. And step by step, one by one, I started dismantling things. And after I got it fully dismantled, I thought, woof, hey, okay, that step is done. Very nice. And then we had to get my dad and my neighbor to come help me pull this monstrosity up out of the basement. There was so much sediment in the bottom of the water heater that I couldn't drain it fully. So it was a 50-gallon tank that wasn't really drained, and it took 3 grown men to heft this thing up our stairs and get it up and out of the house. And so once that was up and out of the house, my confidence was starting to build, because I knew that the hard part was kind of over. And anyway, went to the store, got all the parts, brought them back, and got the new one wrestled into place. And then one by one started just reconnecting all the hoses. And I followed all the steps on the YouTube videos, made sure to have all the right parts, and it worked like a charm. And turned everything on, waited a while, and poof, just like magic, hot water started coming out of the faucets. And I sat back after that was all done. It took me an hour and a half, 2 hours to do the install first time. And I sat back and I thought, holy cow, I just installed a hot water heater by myself with some help. But I did that by myself. I'm not a smart guy when it comes to handyman work, and I just installed that all by myself. And my chest, I'm a 5'3" man, and my chest kind of poked out a little bit more in pride and accomplishment on Saturday. And I just felt so good. And the thought occurred to me, why was I so nervous? Why was I so scared? Why was I so uptight looking at everything? Why was I so overwhelmed with it? I mean, looking back on it, it actually wasn't like that bad. I mean, it took most of the day, because I'm not fast and not very smart, but it wasn't that bad. And so what was the big deal? Our brains are so funny. In life, with family, with finances, at work, with employees, with the company that we're working with, and all the processes and departments that we're wrestling and working with. Isn't it easy to get overwhelmed when we feel outside of our element, when we feel like we're about to tackle a project or a job description or some sort of something that we don't have any background or experience to do? Sometimes we psych ourselves out. Sometimes we feel like we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not capable enough. But Saturday really taught me that, and if you got some pencil and paper, let's make this our watchwords this week. I think you and I are smarter than we believe. I think we are more capable than we give ourselves credit for. And I think we are more talented than we recognize. Why is it that we undervalue our abilities? Why is it that we undervalue our smarts and our talents and abilities to get stuff done? Why do we undervalue or discount our ability to solve problems? I don't know why that is exactly, but I just know that as humans, I think we cut ourselves short. I think we are stronger, more capable, smarter, and more talented than we give ourselves credit for. So let's do this week. If we are wrestling with a project, a problem, or an issue, let's first off say to ourselves, I may have doubts and concerns, but I know I can figure it out. I know I'm smart enough, I'm capable enough, I'm resourceful enough that I can figure this out. I can do this. I may not know how now, but I can figure this out. Let's start with that sort of an attitude. Deal? Pinky promise? Let's do that. Let's pinky promise, and let's start saying that sort of thing this week. Life is full of problems. It seems like when I leave the house and I go to work, all I do every day is solve one problem after another problem after another problem. And it is taxing. It is tedious. When I get home, I've got 5 kids, I've got a wife, I've got a house, I've even got 2 dogs that are chihuahuas that are really annoying. But it seems like all I do at home is solve one problem after another. solve one problem. And one on the weekends when I head to church and volunteer my time and serve in the community in that capacity, seems like all I do is solve one problem after another. Seems like my life, 7 days a week, whenever I'm awake, is just simply solving one problem after another. And it's tiring. But I think that's kind of part of life. I think we can solve it. I think we can do them. I think we're good enough. I think we're strong enough. I think we're smart enough. I think we're more capable than we give ourselves credit for. So let's do this. Let's agree today that we are cheerful problem solvers. We just cheerfully go about solving one problem and then another problem and then another problem. I think of and I've referenced this before, but the movie Martian with Matt Damon. Have you guys seen that movie? Love that movie. The very end, after this catastrophic deal, and he finally gets rescued off of Mars after being on Mars and surviving on Mars forever and ever, right? He's teaching a group of people in a classroom, engineers, and somebody asks, how did you, was it hard? Did you want to give up? How did you get home? And kind of all that sort of thing. And he says, well, you just do the math. There comes a point where you just got to do the math. And you solve one problem. You get to work solving one problem. And then you solve the next problem. And if you solve enough problems, you get to come home. And I think that's how you and I, as entrepreneurs, as marketers, as sales professionals, as managers and leaders and customer service representatives in business, that's got to be our attitude and our mindset. We just cheerfully, happily go about solving problems, making the world, our families, our relationships, our finances, our companies, our departments, our teams, just make the world a better place by solving one problem after another. That's all we do. That's all we do. So give yourself a little bit more credit. I realized and recognized how important it is not to discount my talents, my abilities. Even though I never installed a hot water heater ever in my life, the only experience that I had was watching a couple of YouTube videos and moving slow. But I'm smart. I am very smart, and I can figure out problems that I've never had to address before. And I think you're smart, and I think you can do it too. So let's cheerfully, happily go about solving problems today and this week. And let's do some good in the world. Let's do some good in the world. Deal? All right. Love you guys. Hey, have a great day, great week. Kill it. Knock it out of the park. Show the world what you got today. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow on Traveling with Terry. Take good care. Bye-bye, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. Did you know every company out there has what we call digital marketing blind spots? These are simple, hidden opportunities for growing and improving your marketing that most of the time people miss. Go to www.arcanemarketing.com and take advantage of our Rise and Ignite digital marketing analysis. It's 100% free to get fresh new insights and ideas to make what you're already doing that much better in 2021.